Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another video today and the topic is going to be, was there physical death before the fall? Most Christians take it for granted that of course there was not death before the fall because that did not happen until Adam and Eve partook of the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Just a few years ago, I would have said the same thing. I would have said, of course there was no death. Well, I've been looking at things very, very differently the past year or so. And what I understand now is that this was actually talking about spiritual death. Now, I have done other videos in which I went deeper into it, but I just wanted to focus on one verse that I have read a multitude of times, but I always kind of glossed over it without actually thinking of the implications of it. It's the same thing that happened, when for the past 18 years of being a Christian, even before that, reading Matthew 24:34, when Jesus said, "This generation shall not pass away until all these things take place." Kind of glossed over that too. Well, here's another one that I believe actually backs up the idea that there was indeed physical death before the fall, and I'm going to explain how. Genesis 1:28. And God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." Now, from just a cursory reading like that, you're probably thinking, what is she talking about? That doesn't even say anything at all about people dying. Well, you're right, it doesn't. But what does it say? Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it. When did God say this? He said this before the fall. If God told man and woman to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, my question to you is, if their offspring would also continue to do what God had commanded them to be fruitful and multiply, and if they would have continued this on and on and on, where would everyone have fit if everyone was going to be living immortal lives? There was no physical death, and yet God gave this commandment to humankind to be fruitful and multiply. If there were no death, in order to continue to have these new offspring to replace those had passed away, that's my question. Where would everyone fit? No matter what kind of earth you believe in, whether you believe in a stationary level plane, whether you believe in a level plane with extra land, or whether you believe in a globe, what do all three of these things have in common? They have a finite amount of space. So, if you had physical, immortal beings who took up physical space, who God had given the biological ability to reproduce and produce offspring, where would they have gone over time? As time went on, over eternity, where would they have gone? Now, this is in contrast to the angels in heaven. What did Jesus say about the angels in heaven? He said that they do not marry in heaven. And by implication, I would assume that also means that they do not create offspring because they would be living within the will of God. So I certainly don't think that they would be having offspring outside of being married. I think that that's a pretty decent assumption that most people would agree with. In fact, in Jude 1, verse 6, it says, "And the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day." So not only did these angels who did not stay in heaven and who actually came down to earth to reproduce with these human women, they thwarted God's will. But my question to you is, what is the difference between the angels in heaven and people? physicality. People are physical. We are earthly beings. We live here now on this earthly realm where you can actually physically touch things. Like I'm touching my desk right now. On the other hand, the angels in heaven, and I would say all of the angels, their innate existence is spiritual. It's not something that requires a physical realm, is it? So that is why in Jude, a lot of people think that it doesn't only mean that the angels did not stay in heaven, that they went down to earth to do these terrible things, but that when they kept not their first estate, it also was referring to them shedding their spiritual bodies, or if not shedding them, transforming them into physical bodies so that they would then be able to reproduce with these human women. And that is a very, very important distinction, because what do we know about the heavenly beings? They were created with a finite number. The angels in heaven did not produce offspring, yet they had this entire realm of heaven that, I've never been to heaven, and I'm sure that none of you that I'm talking to have been to heaven, but we can only assume that since it is a spiritual realm, that it would seemingly have infinite space. We don't know that though, but it would seemingly have infinite space. But that's the question. God, I don't even know if it's a question. Maybe it's a statement. We'll see how it turns out. But God created angels not with the ability to reproduce when they were in their original form as God created them. They were spiritual beings. They were going to live forever. Hence, there was no need for them to have offspring. Yet, on the other hand, Adam and Eve, many people think, okay, well, they were immortal before the fall. Well, I'm not so sure about that, because if they were immortal before the fall, why would God tell them that they should have more offspring? Where would they go? That's my question. Having offspring is replacing those who have passed away. There is no need for angels to have offspring and replace themselves, because they are immortal beings. Yet, here on earth, we are mortal beings, and we do pass away. And I believe that this has been happening since before the fall, because, again, my question to you is, where would they all have gone? Big difference. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. And if you like my work and would like to become a channel member, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well, or you can just click on it right on my channel page. And I hope you have a great day.